you so much for My name is Mfon. My name is Mfon. Business faculty at National University.
I'm Kelly in DePaul, in Chicago.
So we're going to get started talking about incorporating social media in the classroom.
So I'm going to do the first, 5 minutes. First of all, do you all incorporate social media in your classroom? No? Yes? No. Okay, so do you believe, would you be willing to try it? Okay. So one of the things that I've done in my classes, I started using Twitter about 3 years ago. And I did that, one, because I noticed that my students had their phones out anyway, and they were looking at them. And so I said, well, it would be a great idea to figure out a way to effectively use what they're using in class. And so we do activities like follow Wall Street Journal reporters, we follow CNBC, and so if I find an article that's interesting, whether it's CNN or Washington Post or New York Times, if you notice, most of the time they have their Twitter handle, they'll have their Snapchat handle, and so I started incorporating that since their phones were out. I said, well, and they're frequently posting. So one activity that I did, this was 2 years ago, we started following the host of the CNBC show called The Prophet, Marcus Lemonis, and he's a very active Twitter user. And so the class started following him during a lecture because we were talking about production costs. And so we took an episode, actually the Key Lime Pie episode from 3 years ago, and we looked at the show, we were watching the show, and we started just asking him questions over Twitter. And so finally he started asking back and talking to the students. And so I continued the conversation with him after class, and he asked me, where are you located? And I told him Chicago, and he said, oh, maybe I'll come visit you one day. So to make a super long story short, tweeting him over and over and over again led him to coming to our school and doing a 2-hour session with standing room only 150 students. We had like 3 days notice over a weekend that he was coming, but it led to a really good effective use of Twitter. And so I think if you don't have a Twitter account, I think it's something to use. This quarter, when I start class this year, I'm going to figure out a way to use Snapchat because they're using it. So just thinking about ways to keep class interesting for them and just to let their network and their community know that we do have fun, we can learn, and so that's one of the ways that I've done it. I'm not a professor that feels like I don't ban laptops, I don't ban cell phones because they're looking at them. So I just embrace it and try to figure out a way to incorporate it. So I found it to be a very effective way to follow media, journalists, and bringing them into the classroom that way by tweeting and having students tweeting. And then it really teaches them an effective way to communicate with a professional in that space. So that was my 5 minutes.
Yes, I got 5 minutes.
I just have a question. So you keep separate accounts, personal from your professional, I imagine. So you can share pictures of your cat or something.
I don't tweet things like that. So for me, my Facebook is personal, LinkedIn is professional, Twitter is professional. Snapchat for me right now is just whatever because it's sort of nonsensical a little bit. So my Twitter account is professional anyway. So if you looked at it, there's not anything that's really personal because half the people that follow me, I don't know who they are. So I'm really hesitant about the kinds of things I put. I think right now, I don't have a lot of followers. I think I have 1,200, which, it's not a lot. But I followed a friend of mine who is an academic but is a media personality now. Her name is Melissa Harris Perry. She used to be on MSNBC, and I really watched how her career progressed as she used Twitter and blogging to really make a name for herself. And so that was sort of my mentor in this space. But I don't really post a lot of personal on Twitter. Only personal pictures are really on Facebook.
I guess it's my 5 minutes. What I'm going to talk about is YouTube and how I use that to really engage students and connect students. So most of my free students first. So I thought of ways of trying to engage and connect with the students by using YouTube and something called Hangouts on Air. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Hangouts on Air. It's a Google live broadcasting tool. So you can do Hangouts on Air, and you can do Hangouts on Air live. So the great thing about Hangouts on Air live, you can do a live broadcast, so everyone who has a Gmail account can log in, but more importantly, you can do a screen share. So what I use it for, I record Excel problems, or I'll give messages to the students, or I'll give lectures, Hangouts on Air. As soon as you click stop, it automatically imports that film to your YouTube. So they can upload it to my YouTube channel.
Which is publicly visible to anybody who searches in the world.
Yes. So, but to backtrack, I don't know if everyone uses Blackboard. Blackboard YouTube. So, what you can do, you've got the videos, you can copy the links, you can embed those videos into or Blackboard and create an announcement. So all the students that can go in, they will watch the video, they'll also get an email. Once you post the announcement, if they subscribe to the channel, you're getting the email notification. So that way they can replay and watch what you're doing as many times as they want. The other thing that makes it a lot easier is like killers, you're able to do it on your cell phone, tablet, very easy. It's easy access. So that was one, trying to connect with the students. The other issue I had was in my online courses, I like to have guest speakers. And the method of doing that initially was by having, I get someone to agree to come and talk to my students. And maybe a week or two beforehand, I would have the students come up with questions. So I'd have them look that person up and email me the questions. I'll give the questions to the guest speaker. Then the guest speaker would come to my office, and then we would actually sit and record and talk and answer the questions. That was great. It worked out great. The only problem is, one, there were some students, they want to have that live reaction. That's what it is. Number two, for the guest speaker, they've got to come to my office. So I ran into one problem where there was one person I really wanted her to talk to finance person, and she's a CEO of her own business, she's very successful, etc. But she's busy. So she's like, Mfon, I want to do this, but we kept rescheduling for me to get to your office. So I was brainstorming, so I said, I use Periscope. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Periscope. That's owned by Twitter, but I use the Periscope.
What does it do?
It's a live video show. But the great thing about it, you can easily download it. It's only accessible on your cell phone. So you download it on your cell phone, right? So students who are in Twitter, they can connect with you. So what I was able to do, I was able to go to her office.
You can keep, I'll open up some while you're talking.
So what I was able to do, schedule time, come to her office. She had the questions already. I went to her office, we sat down. Then she answered the questions. But the great thing about it, you can interact live. So then I had students, they were able to connect and type in questions and ask her questions via the app. So then you can save the video. So I'm able to save that video, and again, it goes back to the YouTube. So I'm able to save it, upload it to YouTube, and then maneuver it back to the course show. The great thing about that is you've got the students who are able to come in and interact with the live. You've got the students who gave the questions and weren't able to interact with the live. They were able to get the questions before. And then you can watch the video. So everyone is able to interact. So it was very efficient for the guest speakers and at the same time for the students.
So I'm doing a live Periscope right now with you. We have 2 followers, and so you can see it all over the globe. So I'll show you how it works. So we haven't gotten hearts yet, though, so say that. So what happens is, my brother just called me, sorry about that. So what happens when you stop my broadcast? So we had 3 viewers, just in that. So they can be from anywhere. So with Periscope, you see this is how many people are online around the world. So if we were to go to South America, there's 7 people, and we can see what they're doing live right now. So this person is playing the guitar in South America. So you have to follow people that have relevant content. So like for my managerial accounting class, I might follow someone from Shark Tank, maybe one of the entrepreneurs from Shark Tank. So you might catch them in their business talking about something. But this is live. And so then if I like what he's singing, you see I can press and it puts hearts in his face. So it just allows you to go anywhere in the country. So we could go to Rio if we wanted to and be at the Olympics. Someone may be broadcasting from the Olympics right now. So that's what Periscope is.
Just one.
I just pulled up my YouTube channel, and then this is one of the videos that
Okay, it's time to switch.
I posted. And then the great thing with the YouTube, for 88 components, you can use the YouTube closed caption. So closed caption.
I have a question. Do you ever run into copyright issues if you like are talking about textbook materials or anything like that?
I'm making my own YouTube.
Okay, so you don't show like textbook materials or anything like that? Thank you guys.
I wish I could find a way to incorporate Snapchat. Like it is, I love to see Snapchats on myself while I'm teaching. I mean, they're looking at the teacher to take Snapchats. That's such a need. Yeah.
The only thing I can see is maybe asking them to show themselves doing a homework problem.
That would be awesome.
Or having them, maybe you can have them snap. The assignment would be explain the accounting concept to a person on the street or to your friend. And they have to snap it.
They have to snap it. See, that could be fun.
Or define an asset, or do a survey. How many people know what an auditor does?
Right.
How many people know what
They can send
CPA
snap-
stands for?
Right, right.
You know, so just,
Snapchat in. Like some little quizzes do that. Yeah, because they love it. That's for sure. They do.
and all kinds of stuff. You
Yeah.
know, so
That's a good idea.
or have them go and interview 5 business owners and they snap it.
People active. We have Facebook, but
They don't like that anymore.
they don't. My first group that did it did, but now this people have Snapchat. So thank you. Very good.
They gave us that.
I'll show you what I really said.
Well, you I was like, all right, I went on.
Hi everyone, I'm Kelly. This is Mfon, and we are talking about incorporating social media into the classroom. I am accounting at DePaul in Chicago.
I teach accounting at the National University of Chicago.
So we want to do the same way I start with my first one. So I incorporate Twitter in my class, Twitter, and I do not ban cell phones. I don't ban laptops in my class. So that's the first thing. So does anyone already incorporate social media or in any way? Are you against it? Like you just think, okay,
No,
so
we just don't, I'm in.
okay.
So I just need to know.
All right. So first thing I think is good is if you set up a Twitter account. So it's very easy, and one of the things I think that makes Twitter good is following really interesting people. So I follow a lot of Wall Street Journal reporters, and And so the way that I incorporate it in my class is I have my students follow those reporters and we chat with them. And oftentimes, before class starts, I'll email or I'll chat or try to direct message that reporter to let him know that we're coming live. And so my students may have questions or comments. So please respond if you see us active. So we have, in my forensic accounting class, there was a professor, an author that wrote a really great piece, and we had questions, and so we were tweeting our questions to that person. He wrote back to us. Another instance, I watched the show The Prophet that comes on CNBC, and I started tweeting the host, Marcus Simonis, and to make a super long story short, he came to DePaul and did a presentation, standing room only to 150 students, because I stalked him on Twitter for so long. And my students, we were tweeting him and asking him questions, because that show is a great show that talks about production costs and budgeting. And so I just turned it into something fun. So I showed the class the episode, started tweeting him. CNBC sent the whole class t-shirts because they started following us and tweeting to us, because they saw that we were using the show in class. So I think there are a lot of effective ways that you can use Twitter. Their phones are on the table, they're looking at it anyway, so you might as well incorporate it in your class. The Prophet, it comes on CNBC. So The Prophet is a good show to use. Restaurant Startup. Shark Tank episodes are great because they're short, but they're always talking about profit. They're in a way talking about breaking even too. So just those little 5 minutes worth of information just to wake them up a little bit or change it up. So those are the ones that I use. But I'm always looking for something, because I do use a lot of movies in my class. But if I have a 3-hour class, I can use a movie. But if I have an hour and a half class, then I need something short. So short episodes like Shark Tank and short pitches, that works well.
Now, where do you get those short tanks? Are they free on time?
YouTube. So you can find them on YouTube. All of every TV thing that I do is on my phone. So I have the ABC app, I have the Hulu app, I have Amazon Prime, I have Netflix. So all of it's on my phone, but I also have the accounts on my laptop, so I can just pull it up there as well. But most of the Shark Tank episodes are online.
So what you do is you whatever that short, you discuss that topic in Twitter. Is that what you're saying?
I can, yeah. So whether it's an article that an author has written, or if it's an episode, then what I've noticed is the show follows. If you hashtag their show, they'll pick it up. And so if we're talking about it, they will incorporate, they'll come into the conversation. The owner, the business owner sometimes comes into the conversation too. I often will reach out before to make sure they'll come in, just so the students realize, wow, someone actually, class does go beyond these walls. So that's what I do.
Piggyback on Twitter. That's how I met Kelly.
Yeah, we met on Twitter. Yeah, we met on Twitter.
She's my hero when it comes to teaching. I was following her. Now we're here.
Now we're here.
Yeah, that's great.
So
So y'all are not from the same school?
No, and although we both live in Chicago, we met online.
Okay.
You were following her because you heard about her?
yes. She's one of my favorite Where was I? I was at, I just presented at it's called the Faculty Summer Institute at the University of New York. So I tweeted something between them. I was like, well, hey, let's do a presentation.
Here we are.
So while you're teaching in your class, the students are active on Twitter, tweeting?
If it's part of the lesson, so I deliberately will incorporate it. I'm sure they're doing it anyway, but if I'm engaged and walking around, they're too busy looking at me trying to figure out what she's going to do next, so they tend to pay attention. But I will say, okay guys, let's tweet this person and see what happens. And they're like, are you serious? I'm like, absolutely. Let's see if they engage in a conversation with us.
So everybody's
I do it in managerial. I do it in my ethics and leadership class, which is in the management department, and I do it in my forensic accounting class. All of the classes.
So in the confines of this one class period, you're going to have, how many students do you have?
40.
Okay, and they're going to be tweeting their individual questions, comments, or whatever, and he jumps into it.
And they're always good, like never not.
Okay.
And after class, do they tweet you with other questions or no?
The people we're following,
No, the
students,
students.
they don't do that a lot because they're so interested in the person that we're trying to track down.
They don't.
But they don't. I mean, they could if they wanted to, but they tend to not.
So what kind of questions do they ask?
So in my fraud class, we would ask a question like, do you believe the person is innocent that you profiled in the article? With the prophet, I picked up that he made a mistake in the way he calculated production costs. So I said, you do realize that you need to include manufactured overhead in your production costs. So we would ask questions like that. He didn't really like that much. But he answered, he said, no, production costs is direct materials and direct labor. I'm like, that's wrong, but, yeah. He's wrong. But, so they, it just made it real for them.
And what's your experience when you taught without using the social media and with using the social media?
I just think it changes things up for me. It just makes it different. I mean, they see how the technology that they use in their social life can have relevance in class. So I just think it just changes it up because I don't lecture for no longer than about 8 or 9 minutes before I make a change. And so it gives me some variety as opposed to just talking. I don't use PowerPoint slides with text on it, only images. So it just gives me just another tool to just break it up a little bit.
Engages the students. Keeps them engaged.
So I'm trying out Snapchat this.
Oh, wow.
Well, you have to give us your contact info. So how do you have Snapchat?
So we were just talking in the last session about just assignments that we could do. And so things that we just came up with was interviewing a person, like, what is an asset? Just going up to people, do you know what an asset is? Do you know what CPA stands for? Or having them explain a concept to a friend and have them snap it. And just making them more relevant about what they're doing. So those are some of the ideas I'm trying.
And interviewing their classmates.
Or friends, or your family, just someone on the street, just snap it.
That's kind of how this can segue. I was going to talk about how I use Periscope. I don't know if everyone's familiar with Periscope.
Yes.
It's owned by Twitter. It's actually a live video share app. But this is the app it produces live video feed. Anyone who can log on to this app to watch
Anyone.
talk.
Is that like Facebook Live?
Exactly. It's like Facebook Live. The only thing is, number one, you get an immediate Twitter message. Immediately. Facebook Live, you kind of have to look at the feed to find out about that. But yes, Facebook, it came out with Facebook Live to kind of compete against Periscope.
So this map is showing you everybody across the globe that's on Periscope right now. So if we wanted to go to Rio, you're going to see down here just live feed from Rio. I don't know, it's opening. So you can take your class to anywhere, and you don't know what you're going to get. You got to be careful there. But you want to make sure, like, if you follow, like, one of the sharks, then they're going to, a lot of times they will put
High quality.
You got to be careful.
So have you ever uploaded video?
Yes. So how I use that? Majority of my courses are on video, and I love to have guest speakers on my courses. So initially, what I would do, I would have the students maybe a week or two before the guest speaker's schedule. Email me some questions. Go and Google the person, and I'd schedule an appointment, have that person come to my office, and we'd actually record a YouTube video answering the questions. But I have one person I really wanted to give this audience because I really want her to talk to my class. She's a CEO of a company, it's a fashion company. She made her money. It's great, but she's very busy. So we had to keep rescheduling. It just wasn't working out. So I'm thinking, what can I do to make it easy for her? Because she wanted to participate. So that's where the Periscope came. So I just scheduled a time. I went to her office with myself, and then I let the students know I was going. So then they could also log in, and they can chat with her as well. So I just sat in her office and then recorded the video. She had any questions, and then what I was able to do to have students who were, this is my YouTube channel. So you have students who are able to, I don't know if I can see it. You had students who were able to participate live, but then those that weren't, they were able to watch this on my YouTube channel. And then I posted this on Blackboard, using Blackboard.
And you posted on Blackboard?
Posted on Blackboard, make an announcement, they can watch it as many times as they want.
Does Periscope automatically record video for you?
There's an option where to record it to your cell phone. And from your cell phone,
So how do you get it on YouTube again? How do you record it?
I would record it on my cell phone, so it's an app for your cell phone, and then you would record it, it would be on your phone.
Right, so then you just upload it to your...
Upload it to one.
So I'm broadcasting it right now.
And then I saved it as an MP4, and then I was just able to upload it to YouTube.
Okay.
And then I can maneuver it wherever I want it. And then the students can watch it anytime. So they love it. And the great thing, like Kelly was saying, with Snapchat, I can go to that person, or I can talk to anyone pretty much anytime, ask them questions from somewhere. Maybe I meet someone famous or interesting. I can ask them some questions and be sure to.
So here's my next question. And I don't know if some of you guys have the same question, but with regards to where ADA compliance comes in, how do you does it automatically record the conversation, turn it into a transcript or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Use closed captioning on YouTube.
Okay. And it will translate over everything.
I mean, you'll have to maybe go back and edit it.
Modify it a little bit.
Oh, but you can edit it on
Yes.
YouTube?
That's good. That's very good.
It's pretty and it makes it really easy for the students. Just something like Kelly was saying, use your cell phone.
Right.
Now, can you have YouTube videos that are private versus public?
Yes. Yes.
Yours are all public.
Mine are all private. No, I do. Even my educational videos, I make them private and I share the links. Could you use Periscope for like office hours? Could I hold it up? Could they tweet me a
That's
question?
a good idea. And then you turn around and post it for other people.
So they're on Twitter anyway. If I'm on Periscope, just say an hour a week, they could tweet me a question and I respond.
And if you're doing a lecture, you can do a Periscope lecture if you don't mind opening it up to the entire world.
There's nowhere else.
But if they were tweeting you on Periscope, wouldn't you be open to everybody?
Oh, it's open to everybody.
Well, no, you can post. You can have it on. You can broadcast it to your followers. You can choose that option, but they would have to
Which one are you talking about? The Periscope?
Periscope.
Okay.
They would have to follow you on Periscope.
Okay. You would like that.
Just to give you guys a little, like this is Snapchat. This is from last night. I was at and it's just something, accounting faculty gone wild. Like we were just at a little get together. So that's just what we just
County
did.
faculty gone wild?
Yeah. Just something, I mean, and then you can see like how many people looked at it.
I like the idea. I don't know much, but I like the idea. And I guess your emails are in the binder, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because you're attendees, right? Thank you. So you may be getting some emails. That's right. You don't want to follow me. Yeah, maybe we're.
You have to follow us.
I'm following
My
you.
students can help me.
I'd love to see a proposal.
Welcome everyone. My name is Mfon, Akpan. I teach accounting at National University in Chicago. I'm going to talk about YouTube. YouTube, incorporating YouTube in the classroom. And this is Dr. Kelly Pope.
Hi, I teach managerial accounting, forensic accounting, ethics and leadership at DePaul in Chicago, and I'm going to talk about using Twitter and Snapchat and Periscope.
Periscope. So, but I'll start. So, I'm going to focus on two things as far as YouTube. One is to really connect and engage the students. Two, to really help bringing in guest speakers. This is where the Periscope. Majority of my courses I teach online. So I was looking for a way to connect with students, especially when working with problems. Showing examples of how to do problems. So what I came up with was using, well, does everybody use or familiar with social media? YouTube, Google Hangouts on there. Everybody familiar with it? Well, if you have a Gmail account, what would you get a YouTube account? You get a Gmail account, you've got a Hangouts account. You can use Hangouts or Hangouts on video. It's a live video share. Submit live feed. You can also do screen share, so you can capture your screen. The great thing about it is whatever you're recording, it will automatically save to YouTube. So what I was able to do in order to connect with my students, work problems, hang out together, do some Excel problems, maybe record a lecture, talk about key topics, and then hang out over there. And then record YouTube, and be able to either post that in our learning management system platform, so they watch it later, review it over and over again. So here's an example of one of the problems that I've recently put together for the students. So they're able to easily access and view so I'm able to put the lectures there. It's easier for them they can either subscribe to the YouTube channel or